So recently during a life coaching session that I was doing, one of the people I meet with, I was asked the question, this person has two job offers and they're both really good job offers, and this person asked me, how do I know which one is God's will for me to choose? How do I make that decision? So that started a conversation, and I want to talk to you about how do you make decisions? How do you know God's will in a particular situation? So in this case, there were two job offers, about the same pay, both good jobs, very different kinds of jobs, but how do you decide which one? So my first question to this person was, is God's will a straight line, or is it a circle? If it's a straight line, then that means God had only one of those jobs is the right jobs, so she's going to have to pick the right one. But if it's a circle, it means maybe both of those jobs could be good. And the idea of God's will being a straight line, meaning there's one decision, you cannot live that way consistently. Okay, so for instance, when you got up this morning and you got dressed, did you pray about what clothes you would wear, what socks you would wear, what pants, which shirt? Did you pray about how much toothpaste to put on the toothbrush? Did you pray about whether you would comb your hair and part it on the right or on the left, or whether you'd comb it back? There are so many decisions. When you stopped by Starbucks, did you pray about what particular drink you would get, and was there only one that would be the will of God and anything else you'd be off the will of God? Of course not. God's will is not a straight line, it's a circle, and within that circle are probably a lot of good decisions that can be made, and so it is with us determining and finding His will for our lives. Now I want to tell you a story about years ago when I was youth pastoring in San Diego, and I felt that God had closed the door on my youth ministry there, closed the door and was allowing me to move on to another place. We had two job offers, one in Arlington, Texas, youth ministry position, and another in New York City. So I was asking God to show me. We interviewed, went to both places, both of them offered us the job, and in my heart I did not want to go back to my hometown of New York City. I wanted to go to Arlington, Texas, but I wanted to do what God wanted me to do, so I was perplexed. I didn't know what to decide. Which ministry do I take? Where do I go? Do I go back to New York City, or do I go to Arlington, Texas? And I knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted to know what God wanted me to do. So I remember praying, God, I will go wherever you want me to. Please show me. He didn't. So as we got closer and closer to when I had to make the decision, I was a little bit frantic, because maybe I was approaching this next ministry as if it was a straight line. And if I made the wrong decision, if I went to New York when I was supposed to go to Texas, or if I went to Texas when I was supposed to go to New York, that I would mess up God's plan for my life. And but God wasn't speaking. So what do you do when you have a decision to make and you're not hearing from God? And I remember I set something up with the Lord. I said, Lord, in the absence of revelation, in other words, God, if you don't speak and tell me where to go, I'm going to go to the place that's in my heart. I said, Lord, I want to go to Arlington, Texas. And if you choose to continue to stay silent and not speak, I'm going to choose what's in my heart. Now I said, Lord, if you want me to go to New York, I don't want to go, but I will. But you have to show me. So you say, Joe, is there a biblical basis for that? Well, there really is. In the Psalms, there's a verse that says this: delight yourself in the Lord. That means find your life, your sustenance, everything about you, let it come, let your greatest delight be in the Lord, be found in the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He, God, will give you the desires of your heart. So when we put all of our energy and focus into Him, in our relationship with Christ, yielding our lives to Him, He will give us the desires of our heart. He will make us want what He wants us to do. Now, I ended up in Arlington, Texas, and guess what? As I do this film right now, I'm in Arlington, Texas, sitting in the same city, but God never spoke. He never told me whether I needed to go to New York or go to Arlington, Texas. Both of them were in the circle of His will for me. He allowed me to decide. And I chose Arlington, Texas, and God used that, and here I am. I'm still here today. What I want to tell you is this. When it comes to the will of God, there are many things that God lets us decide on our own. That's why He gave us a free will. By the way, we have a free will. We get to choose and decide. When you have a big decision or even a small decision, you can ask God to give you guidance and direction, and oftentimes He will. But when He doesn't, if you are living fully committed to Him, delighting yourself in the Lord, you can actually rest on that verse that I did. And you can delight yourself in the Lord and recognize that He'll give you the desires of your heart. He'll make you want what He wants you to have. That's how you find the will of God. He doesn't always speak because He doesn't need to. There are a lot of things that you and I can decide together. For instance, where are you going to go to college? Okay, that's something that you get to choose. Who are you going to marry? Hey, you actually get to choose. Are you going to have children? Are you going to have 5, 10, 15, 1, maybe none? I think God allows you to choose many of those things. When you want to know God's specific will, ask Him. If He doesn't show you, do what's in your heart and be at peace and walk with God in that way. God bless you. Delight yourself in the Lord. He will make you want the things He wants you to do. Talk to you next time. God bless.